It's getting to that time of year, late summer, early fall, where the new Call of Duty is just around the corner. And considering the current state of Call of Duty and Warzone, I just want to take a look back at how we got where we are right now versus where we started last year. Last year, at the start of Modern Warfare 3's Warzone, we were coming off of what was probably the most boring version of the Warzone we've ever seen, Modern Warfare 2's Warzone. So Modern Warfare 3's Warzone brought back a return to Modern Warfare 2019's feel by introducing the slide cancel, having faster sprint to fire, ADS speeds, etc. The game launched with a brand new original map, Urzikstan, and it brought back a couple of resurgence maps that were introduced with Modern Warfare 2, Vondel, Ashika Island. And as the seasons progressed, they would add in more resurgence maps. They added in Fortune's Keep, they had that for ranked. And then next season they added in Rebirth Island, and they had that for ranked. So there were a lot of maps to play on. There were a lot of different play styles to choose from, whether you wanted big map, small map. You might not have liked all of them, but there was at least a plethora of maps to choose from. Let's talk about some of the pros. 150 HP. That, I don't know if that was in Modern Warfare 2's Warzone or not, but it was in Modern Warfare 3's Warzone. And I think this was a very good change because it made the game more competitive. You were able to push instead of getting absolutely obliterated pushing mid-map or pushing a house. If you were caught mid-map, you could at least maybe slither away. And that's missing after the April update, but we'll get to that. Whenever they announced Warzone, they announced the changes they were going to make. Sledgehammer Games, they announced that they were going to have some base perks to start you off, which is amazing. They had some amazing quality of life right off the rip. Commando gloves, reload your weapons while sprinting. Overkill, carry 2 primary weapons. Quick grip gloves, increase the speed at which you switch weapons. Tack pads, increase your slide speed. ADS while sliding, climbing boots, increase your climbing and mantling speed. This would have been extremely annoying if we had to equip these perks individually. It would have taken away a perk slot. It would have taken away a perk that we could use, such as Tempered or High Alert. And having these as base perks just made it so much more fun to engage because everybody, for the most part, was on an even playing field. It just kind of depended on what you wanted to run as your later perks. Did you want to run Ghost? Did you want to run High Alert? Did you want to run Tempered? Did you want to run Cold-Blooded? It just kind of depended. It really depended on your playstyle and how you wanted to play, and you could do that in that game, and that was kind of part of the joy of playing, was running into people with different playstyles. It wasn't all just one meta playstyle. And look at these guys. I'm looking at this gameplay. I remember this gameplay. I never posted this one. I was going through the vault because I wanted to post a Warzone gameplay. But look at those 3 guys just run up on me. This map is amazing. Back to Modern Warfare 3. The game was more run and gun than what we see in Black Ops 6's version of Warzone, with the exception of Rebirth Island. Mainly post-April 3rd update. And there were a lot more guns to use, it felt like. The meta was... there were more options for the meta. Obviously, this isn't all at once. But just to name a few, you had the Ram 7, the Ram 9, the HRM, the TAC Eradicator, the Superi, the Static, the Cat AMR, the MTZ, 7.62, Striker 9, STG, etc. There were so many guns. And in Black Ops 6's version of Warzone, what you're watching right now, the XM4 with the Jackal, this was the meta for 3 to 4 months after the game came out. And while it was extremely fun, there wasn't really much variation. And even when they made the changes, it was still just 2 guns, mainly, that were used, and nothing else. You could use something else, and I can't remember what the gun was changed to after this. It might have been the GPR with the C9, but the C9 has been the quote-unquote best sub for a while now. I know the Cypher was in there, and there's been a couple other guns that I can't really remember at the moment, but for the most part, the meta's been pretty stale, whereas the meta was changing every 2 to 3 weeks last year, and that kept things fresh. This game and this entire year really has just felt completely stale, and I don't really know what to say about that. I hope it's not like this next year, and that's mainly why I want to talk and just kind of voice my opinion on the current state of Warzone, because it's not like I'm the only one who has these opinions. So the map Urzikstan, not everyone loved the map. It's not a fan favorite by any means, but I thought it was a great introduction to the next version of Warzone. I thought the map played really well. Didn't have that many iconic POIs, but I thought the map played great. I really enjoyed my time. There were a couple areas on the map that I didn't really like, mainly like the entire west side of the map, and then maybe the blue dome roof. You got some campers up there if you were playing quads, trios. But that's why you had redeploys, and that's another thing that they took away, which I think they should bring back. But redeploys, it felt like maybe they had more vehicle options. I don't really know. Maybe not. And look at that. Look at my aggression right there. See, you could just play aggressive. This is the pre-April 3rd Verdansk patch. You could just play so aggressive. I got a little too overconfident there. So there was just less camping due to the map design in general compared to Verdansk, where it's insane. I have to go and find people. And it's not like everyone was popping out of the woodwork on Urzikstan, but, you know, there would be some games you would have double-digit kills, and then some other games, you know, just the way it played out, you might have maybe 5 to 6 to 7 kills. It's just the way it was, but for the most part, I didn't feel like I had to go play hide-and-seek for more than half the game. The thing about Verdansk is, at least for me in my lobbies, it only becomes fun at the end, and even at the end, a lot of times it just ends on one of those buildings that has 4+ stories. One team's at the bottom, one team's at the top, and the same goes with Rebirth. It's just, those two maps just become so mundane to play after a while. Really, the only cons I can think about for last year's Warzone, at least for me, smoke meta, because whenever you got shot, you just threw a smoke at the ground, and that also helped with being able to escape, being out in the open. It kind of put less emphasis on vehicles and rotating and, you know, maybe using your brain a little bit more. So that might be a con, because anyone you shot at, if they were a half-decent player, they were throwing a smoke at their feet and just, you know, unless you had a thermal or... I don't know if Tracker did what it does this year, last year, but that was definitely something that might be considered annoying to run up against last year, and the smokes are not like that this year. Urzikstan as a map could also just be a little boring, but they made significant changes to it over the seasons, and I really, really enjoyed playing it. So, Black Ops 6's Warzone, how does that compare? Well, off the launch of Black Ops 6, there was no original big map. They brought back Urzikstan, and they made the genius idea of returning it to its original state. The entire time they had Urzikstan out, they re-released the map until they brought Verdansk back. It was the first version of the map. All those changes they made the previous year with Superstore and everything else, they just got deleted. So they wanted us to play a map we had already played for a year plus, and then they decided to take that map and reduce it to its most basic form. I don't know who came up with that idea, but it wasn't their smartest decision. By far. Area 99 is probably the best version or the best addition to Warzone during the Black Ops 6 season specifically. Really fun, really new Resurgence map. Unfortunately, it's not in the game anymore, but when they added it, it was a breath of fresh air to play. And what's hilarious is, for years, they've talked about adding in ranked and, you know, having ranked be more prevalent in Warzone, and it's always been Resurgence ranked, MW3, a lot of Rebirth Island ranked. We even had Fortune's Keep, and they add in a new Resurgence map, Area 99, and what do? They add in big map ranked for a map we had already had for a whole year. I don't know who is making the decisions over there, but they need to, that person just needs to retire right now, because there is no excuse for that. Ranked has been Resurgence this entire time. And the one time they add in a new, fresh Resurgence map, instead of adding in Ranked to that map, they add it to a map that we've already had, that nobody wants to play. It's hilarious. I find that to be hilarious. And on top of that, they took away all the Resurgence maps except Area 99 on launch, which I didn't mind because, like I said, breath of fresh air. And then they ended up adding in Rebirth Island back shortly after. And it was those two maps. But they took away Vondel. They took away Ashika Island. I think that was actually last year. And they also took away Fortune's Keep. So now the map pool is even more diluted. There's less maps to play. And in a lot of ways, it feels like the entire update just added in one map with the Black Ops 6 weapons. Which is fine, except for the fact that it offered almost nothing new to people who have been waiting and people who were excited for the new year. Not only that, but they took away 50 HP. The HP is now 100 with the new, this is post-launch, with the Verdansk update. They made the HP 100, they decreased the time to kill, making the game a little less competitive, because now instead of being able to confidently push something, as I'm doing right here, if I were to get shot somewhere, I would be dead before I could react at all, and that is terrible gameplay. I don't care what anybody says about, you have to position yourself well. Just being able to get deleted by someone who takes away all competitive integrity at all, and I just don't agree with that change, and I hope they reverse that change for the new year. Taking that all into account, we've also had stale playlists. For the first 4 months of the game, like I said, it was M4 Jackal meta. Since they made that change, adding in Verdansk, they've changed metas up here and there, but it's just been Verdansk Rebirth Island. They took away Area 99, which was their new map. They just completely got rid of it, with no warning at all. It's just hilarious, because for years we've had to play maps that maybe some of us don't really like. Caldera, Al-Mazrah, Urzikstan, Fortune's Keep with the big hole in the middle. People didn't like that version of Fortune's Keep, but they made us play it, and they kept it in the game. The one time they add in an actual good map, with no word, no warning, they just completely delete it from the game. And not only that, but they Modern Warfareized the middle of Black Ops 6's year of Warzone, which I think is hilarious, because that just goes to show you how boring this year started off as, and that they didn't have any content planned, or if they did, it got tossed to the wayside to bring back Verdansk, which has played alright, but not enough to make that big of a difference, and it's such an odd choice to bring it back in the middle of the year. Very, very strange indeed. So, with that being said, the gunplay is also boring. I don't know what it is. It's the same engine, but for whatever reason, Treyarch gunplay just feels so stale, so boring. Boring meta. Not a whole lot of variation going on there. We've had stale playlists since early April. Just Rebirth and Verdansk. Overall, this entire experience has been less fun than the previous year. And I don't know if... I hope I'm playing Warzone next year, but I don't know. If it's more of the same, I don't know if I will be. So my hopes for the future of Warzone, and it should be obvious to everybody who has a brain, that we get a new original map. They reverse that time to kill change. They increase the HP, they increase the time to kill. Maybe keep it low for the casual playlist, just so that player base can have something to play where they actually feel like they can kill people. I don't know if that was the problem or not, but I don't like playing big map because I feel like I can't move anywhere without a vehicle, and I know that that's part of the game, but just being shot, there's so many angles you can get shot from on big map, and not being able to react, to die what feels faster than in multiplayer is just not acceptable to me. They also need to have a map rotation for big map. You need to have Verdansk as a staple, because it's just the base Warzone map. Everybody loves it. You either have a base quads, trios, duos, solos, regular, and casual, or you just keep Verdansk in casual and you introduce the new original big map, Avalon or whatever the new map is, have that quads, trios, duos, solos. Bring back Area 99 and another previous Resurgence map, or bring in a new Resurgence map. Keep Rebirth Island and have those maps on rotation. And then if you have to have ranked, choose between big map or Resurgence. And if you had to ask me, I would say Resurgence makes more sense for ranked because it's faster, it's more competitive. Big map you can play competitive on, but it's bigger, there's more RNG. I think Resurgence ranked just makes more sense, so they should just keep it on Resurgence. And if they're worried about the player base diluting, just keep the playlist to a minimum, but keep quads, trios, duos, solos. I don't understand why they keep changing that, where they won't have regular trios. They'll force you to play ranked or casual, whatever the case may be. I think that's a terrible idea. Make the gunplay good again. I don't know what it is about Black Ops 6, but the gunplay is terrible. It feels so stale. It feels so stiff. Whenever I play Modern Warfare 3, I'm just reminded about how good the gunplay was in that game. And when I go back to Black Ops 6, I can't enjoy myself as much. And I know that's a really niche thing to complain about. Call of Duty has the best feeling FPS, at least on controller, than any game. But within those Call of Duty, some feel better than others, and I'm just not a fan of Black Ops 6. So overall, I hope with Black Ops 7, they move forward in a positive light. And if they're worried about the player count, they have to look inwards and realize that they're not creating content that people want to play. And it's their fault that the players are going away. They might be looking at the player base dwindling and being like, oh, well, people just may not enjoy Warzone anymore. It's not that. It's just you making games that people don't want to play. And then you're blaming the player base for leaving instead of looking inwards at yourself and taking some responsibility. So those are my thoughts. And I haven't, as of today, I haven't seen any news about Warzone. I don't know. There might be some, there might not be, but I haven't looked at any. That doesn't really change the fact that there needs to be some changes, because the game is stale, and it's not because it's the end of the year. It's because the game is just not fun at the moment. There hasn't been enough improvements to the game, and in a lot of ways it feels like we've gone backwards, which isn't anything new for Call of Duty or Warzone, but it's something that needs to be addressed, and this direction we're going in feels like we're going down. We need to be going back up. So those are my thoughts. See ya.
So is that a blue laser?